Good morning everyone, welcome to All Four Queens. I hope everyone's doing well on this Thursday morning. Wow, a lot of energy going around, isn't there? So if you're new to the channel, we talk about awakening, healing and spiritual warfare, and unfortunately spiritual warfare seems to have dominated my channel at the very beginning, which is I keep with what the energy is, and it's real time stuff. It's not, I'm not making it up, it's real, although people would like to insinuate that you are, but hey ho, praise be to God that faith in God means that He will turn the tables, and the tables have turned. So when I started the channel, I actually asked the question. There was two things that I said. Indecent proposal about what would you do for money, and what was the fear. And I think we've started to see the picture open up. Now the other thing, obviously I got run out of my home, but the other thing that is interesting is the amount of official people I had following me, and the look of complete despair with them following me. I mean, this is what I actually see when I'm driving around and they're looking at me, and this is what I see. And obviously you know why I see it, because people have tried to keep me asleep for so long. The Sleeping Beauty effect, for a better word. So this is what I see, and why do I see that is because of the level of corruption, the level of deception, the level of lies and manipulation and complete deceit, basically. And why do I say that? So I think I was never supposed to awaken to the truth, but what people didn't realise, they already knew the truth. The challenge I had was the challenges that people were saying some very nefarious things, lying and doing it in a legal capacity as well. So when you surrender to God and let God deal with it the way that He deals with it, He has His hidden helpers, like the devil has his hidden helpers. And for me, when people are trying to claim you've got mental illness and they've been doing it all your life and trying to hide it and use other people to try and manipulate a system, because the system has been manipulated, although I do think the system has been part of the problem as well, because it's allowed itself to be manipulated. Just because you have a position of power doesn't mean you have the right to abuse it. For me, a position of power is privilege, and therefore treat it with mindfulness, because God giveth and God taketh away. And remember Job 1? Job said that, God giveth and God will take it away. I mean, that's not probably the correct wording, but it's that the principle was there. And what did he mean by that? He meant that, don't test him, and don't test your faith against him either. So for me, it was important that I had to wait these 52 plus years for the truth to actually come out, and for me to be able to be the one to share it, because no one else was going to share it, because they were quite happy to ride the lies. Now the world is full of a bed of lies, isn't it? The truth, no one wants the truth, because the truth cuts through all that, and the truth is real. It's a reality check, isn't it? Just want to make sure this is recording. Yeah, it is recording. So that's where we're at. So for me, we talked about destiny swapping, and we talked about this. Now I can remember things going back to when I was a child, things that people said, but I had to sit on it, because as a child you gaslit. You're told you don't know what you're talking about, don't get yourself involved in adult stuff. So you have to sit back and just observe. And that's exactly what I did. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is I want to show you the cards, and I want to say thank you to my ancestors of the purest white light and my highest frequency. I want to say thank you to the archangels, and I want to say thank you to God and to Jesus and to the Galactic Federations, the higher beings out there that see everything, and Archangel Metatron, who records everything anyway. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't really matter what people do, say, or in a collective. You can have that. They've had the whole world come against me, but the truth will always prevail. And now I've got people walking around who can't even look at me. And why can't they look at me? Because what they got involved in was just lies, and they ran with it. So now everyone has got a bit of egg on their face. And you know, your secret police or whoever they are, you know, traipsing in, trying to do whatever they do, it's blocked because the cycle's closed and you got yourself involved. We all have choices, but what we don't have is choices of our free. We don't have choices of our consequences. We do have free will, but we don't have choices of our consequences. So now everyone is feeling the wrath of God, because remember what I said: hands in the cookie jar. It was God's cookie jar, God's destiny, God's cookie jar. So you had your hand in his cookie jar because you wanted to dance in the devil's highway, which is fine. And like I've said before, I have no problem with you dancing in the devil's highway. If you want to be on the dark side, in the kingdom of darkness, feel free. What I do have a problem with is when you come for me, and you come for me because it's all lies and it's manipulation and it wasn't true. That's what I have a problem with, because obviously I will always be the truth and I'll cut through all that. So I just want to show you something, because obviously this is what's come out in the Kipper deck. Now the Kipper deck obviously is this one. There's a mature man that's now upside down, and I would say there's a mature man out there who's suffering the consequences of karma for his part in this whole shenanigans. I'm going to call it shenanigans, because there's a pathway. Now, I'm not sure if he's on the pathway or he's actually gone through the pathway, but there's a pathway, because he's not feeling very well. And I would say that's because of everything he's ever put out is now coming back to him, because that's what karma is. It's a mirror of everything you've ever done, and we all got the memo, didn't we? 2024, year of infinity, everything that was ever said, sent, thoughts, words, actions, going back to the sender. So that's now caused a change. Sorry, I've got a bit of reflection, I'm having to do it, but the light, I can't turn the light off in here, so just bear with. It's caused a bit of a change and an ending. Now, that could be a physical death, or it could just be an ending of what was. And I would say an ending of this whole riding on somebody else's coattails and using their energy when they never actually gave permission to do it. But God allowed it. And why did God allow it? Because he knew that you'd build up that much karma that now you've got to pay the piper, and he's the piper, isn't he? But not only that, remember Deuteronomy says that, you know, it will be for generations upon generations upon generations. So when you don't clear your karma and you continue to keep putting stuff out, your children's children's children down the line will suffer the consequences. Now the question, as I said in some of my earlier posts, will your family survive the book of life, or will you get thrown in to the lake of fire and just become null and void? That's the choice that you have to make. So me personally, I'd stop doing what you're doing. So there's an end to the community, because obviously they've got the community involved as well. And when I say community, I'm talking around the globe, not just my community, but around the globe. And they all went on a little journey because of a gift. They all went on a little journey, and they all got a little bit of, you know, a gift because of a house that was in the distant horizons. So I would say it wasn't here, but it was somewhere further afield. The lovers got married. Now there's concern. Sorry, you get a lot of reflection on these cards, but they are beautiful cards. I love them. Now there's a bit of a concern in the family room around sudden wealth. Now everyone's thinking about that woman, see in the background, everyone's got thoughts about her now. and the main male who had expectations and now he's thinking about, now that could be entrapment, but it could also be jail. He's thinking about jail and, you know, the sudden wealth. There was a massive message of concern, and now there's a bit of despair. Well, I wouldn't say there's a bit of despair, I would say there's a heavy, dense despair, because a lot of people are feeling that at the minute, of realising what they actually got themselves involved in. And I think a lot of them probably didn't realise, they just saw the shiny money, they didn't think what they were actually doing was inappropriate, totally malicious, and just completely against humanity. So there was a lot of despair about a courtship, because I think a lot of people got manipulated by a main female, who pretended to be something that she completely wasn't. Then there was the child who I would say is me, who is a privileged lady, had sudden wealth or had great fortune. No, I didn't have sudden wealth, sorry, I had a trust fund, great fortune. But someone came along and stole it, a thief, who was a mature woman, and she kept the privileged lady in poverty, using the courts, and this is where the mental health comes in, you know, going on that terrain. Using the courts, and if you look at all that paperwork there, constantly using the courts to try and keep the great fortune away from the child, who ends up being a mature woman in the end anyway, doesn't she? But the fact that, you know, they kept doing it. Lots of letters. And don't forget, they manipulated the whole system, medical, down to the police. You know, you saw what I've gone through. And she worked with a wealthy man who was fake, but got paid, you know, had money coming in. And they paid an official person to keep working, you know, toil and labour, that worked hard to try and keep as high honour. But the moral of the story is, it doesn't matter how much manipulation, how many pieces of paper go through the system, you can never evade the spiritual realm, and you can never evade God. And when divine timing is ready, divine timing is that the truth will always be told. So for me, I think now people are, I see it now, where there was all coming for me, they walk with their head in shame. And I think I posted another one, shame and guilt. What you achieved was shame and guilt. And why did I post them so early? And I've said that when I post things, I post it because there's a method to the way that I do it. And the reason being is, it proves who I am and what I know, because I posted that a long time ago, and I knew that, you know, with my faith, that the tide would change, because lies can only sustain for so long. The truth will always cut through all that, and now people are now, I to be fair, I can't, there's people that can't help me enough now, whereas before I was shunned. So it was really interesting where whoever it was said, do not help her, do not do this, do not do that. People have obviously walked away from that world. Not everybody, but some have. But now whoever that person is can't leave me alone, is obsessed. So it's like, which one do you want? You either want me isolated and out of the way, or you want to be in my face. Which one is it? Because you can't have both, it's inconsistent. The other thing as well that I want to say is, be careful you know, you never know what you've got until it's gone. And what you tried to do was you tried to take me out of the picture, but what you didn't realise, my energy and who I am is actually what built up your foundation. In whichever way. So as soon as you isolated me, which was great, your whole foundation crumbled, because obviously you can't do it on your own. Hence why you keep pinching my creativity. You know, you keep trying to bind to me, but obviously God and the spiritual realm have cut all ties, have snipped all ties that people have had on me, have snipped all the bindings that people have done and the stuff that they've done to my root chakra. It's all gone. So now you don't have it. So now the only way to try and squeeze a little bit of energy is to try and keep doing what you're doing in my internet and stuff. And obviously that's not going to bode very well, because what I do think is great is that there's an IP trail now. So everything that anyone's ever done to me, there is a trail, and I say thank you because you've actually put that out there, including all the medical stuff that you've tried to do towards me as well. Hence why I think these senior people got dragged into something, and now they're panicking because they've put their names on paperwork which they wish they hadn't done. But hey ho, that's their judgment, and you know, maybe their lesson is, you know, validate a bit more before you get involved in things that you don't know anything about. And don't believe just because someone's a celebrity or someone's a government official or someone's a police officer does not mean they're not corrupt. So always validate. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Praise be to God. I'm glad that the tide is changing, and I'm glad that there's people out there that are starting to pick up on the story now. And you know, hopefully we can move into healing soon enough, and then get some traction on that. But you know, thank you to everyone out there that has been protecting me and looking out for me, and those that have obviously shown themselves. Thanks, because obviously, you know, you've done yourself as a service really, haven't you? But also your family. So I'm going to love yous and leave yous. Take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Sending you much love and light and love and healing to anybody that needs it. So take it easy and keep going. As much as it seems a nightmare, just keep going, because your faith in God, He will never let you down as long as you stay with Him and you keep moving forward and keep you know, with your ancestors as well. Not so much for the ones that took their ancestors out, because I don't really know how that one works, but you know, that's a lesson that they need to learn, isn't it? And maybe they won't. Maybe they'll get the chance the next lifetime, or maybe they won't. Who knows? That's between them and the man upstairs. But anyway, take it easy. Love you loads, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later. Bye.